What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Movie Talks. We are on episode 23. So, as you know, we are the only podcast you need for all your movie news, movie reviews, and more. So, we've got a studded lineup for you. But first, we've got Lawson, our lovely co-host, who's the art house guy, the raging, also doesn't like my jokes, co-host. Angry boy, whatever you want to call him. So you might notice.
I have a joke prediction. I don't know how to.
All right,
I've had a joke prediction for a little while, but I don't know how to. Should I just? Okay, I'm gonna wait till you do it, and then I'm gonna set off like alarms. Okay.
Okay. What's the alarm?
It's gonna happen.
What's the alarm? So
I'll
everyone knows.
How's that?
All right, cool.
All right. That was it peaking?
It was all right.
Okay.
You didn't peak too badly.
On the playback.
But it doesn't matter. It'll be fun. So we've got a big lineup for you. There's a brand new show, which we're going to be the fun guys and bring you a lot of...
There it is!
Oh, You peaked hard then. I've been holding it all day.
That was so quick. Oh, fun guy.
I had to, because it's all...
Of course.
Has it always been about cordyceps, like cordyceps mushrooms? Like cordyceps mushrooms, just as themselves are like pretty fascinating in terms of how they attach on and like they grow out of like insects and stuff as well. They're pretty nuts.
I had to go look them up after I saw the first episode because I'm like, that's fucking cool. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. They fuck up ants.
Yeah, even from the like in the game, was it always cordyceps? I don't think it was ever like really. It was meant to be just like a
fungi. Yeah. Oh
like
my god. I can't say it now without thinking.
It's my favorite. Okay. Also, cordyceps mushrooms, if you're using them for athletic performance, they do increase your VO2, like the amount of oxygen that can pump around. So that's pretty interesting because there's...
Is that also maybe why these things are like superhuman in their
maybe
agility and strength and stuff? That's interesting thought.
Because if you guys don't know, I'm also a nutritionist and personal trainer and bodybuilder. So I like to look into a number of things. So I like Paul Stateman, who's probably the leading researcher, and he's probably my favorite fungi. So
fuck. Holy shit.
So he's got some really interesting stuff about like turkey tail and how it helps with like his mother going through chemotherapy and like pretty much getting rid of the nausea and stuff with that. You've got Lion's Mate working with like memory and PTSD.
Oh man, this is not what
it's not what we're here for.
Not the breaks.
But yeah, all right. See, go to my other podcast for that.
100%. It's good shit.
Yeah. So anyway, you got me sidetracked because we're talking about mushrooms and I'm a fun guy.
Fun guys.
So, all right, I'll limit those jokes. And then obviously we are going back in time from that 70s show. I guess you're going forward in time. So we're going back to the future. I don't know, the time travel does my head in. But that 90s show. And then also Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. So big lineup. And
there is definitely a theme to my three reviews tonight. All have a theme at the end. I'll sort of reveal it, but yeah.
A theme. Oh, look out. That's a bit art housey of you.
Sure. Not really. Just there's something that happened across all three that I'm like, yeah. Anyway, we'll get there.
Okay. Cool. Is it death?
I mean, where's the death in 90s show?
I don't know. I'll get to
characters that. Died. We'll get to that though.
Yeah. But anyway, our favorite segment and everyone else's favorite segment is like you kind of holding out. This is my prediction, is that everyone who's listening and watching, you're holding out to see if we're going to do a consistent introduction to movie news.
No,
and I can tell you we're not. And if you've seen any of my shorts or been on stream lately, you can see that we've been practicing our harmonies with like Cotton Eye Joe and a number of other things. So now on the count of count to three, Lawson and I are going to attempt to do a harmony.
Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
Because I like to put you on the spot and try and match up our beat for movie news.
That's real short though.
Yeah, like 5 seconds. Ready? 1, We'll go on 3, all right?
Sure.
You got it? You understand the rules?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Totally understand.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Movie news.
Movie news.
I feel like I carried that. You didn't even
Oh, you reckon?
harmonize with me.
Sure.
Yeah. You did nothing.
We'll hear on the playback.
Nothing.
There's also a delay between us, so it's probably going to sound even worse.
But anyway, just to keep your, I guess, cortisol levels higher and your stress, Megan with a 3, or Megan.
It's just Megan. Megan's fine.
No, it's not. It's got a 3.
You need to make sure every time that you say with a 3.
It's got a 3 in it, and it's backwards. It
Yes,
annoys
it
me.
does. It does.
The sequel is under construction.
Of course it is.
No, but did you listen? You listened how they sold it?
It's under construction.
Yeah. She's
as
a
in
robot.
Oh. Sure.
Yeah.
It's
Still loading there, mate.
Weak sauce.
Whatever.
Not by you, by the writers. That's like if that's an actual attempt at wordplay, weak sauce.
I laughed. It's my kind of humor. Yeah, I did.
Guys.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, right. Sure. Well, yeah, as expected. I mean,
yeah.
Righto. It'll be fine. I'll watch it. We'll review it. It'll be fine.
If you're going to put a prediction on it, what do you think the sequel will be called? And when they get
Megan with a 4.
if they get to a third film, do you reckon they're going to swap the 3 around?
What do you mean? It's still the same. It's still just 3 lines.
Yeah, it's facing the opposite direction.
Oh, because you mean it's a 3. Well, they could change the A to a 4. Is what I'm saying.
Oh,
then you've got M3G4N.
Oh, could you imagine me trying to introduce that?
You can be so confused. It's Megan with a 3 and a 4.
And a 4.
Don't do that to us. The podcast can't handle it.
Oh, I'm sure they will. Also, this is a bit of a spoiler if you haven't seen Avatar 2, The Way of Water. But Avatar 3, for some reason, they're already telling us that they're going to bring back both I'm going to butcher this name, Payakan and his nemesis, Scoresby.
The fuck are you trying to say?
That's the whale. You know the whales? That was his name.
Whales?
Yeah, that was his name. And Payankan. And his nemesis, Scoresby.
What is happening?
That's his name.
Okay, but what about what's up? What's the news?
It's just confirmed that they're both coming back. You know the whale at the end?
Yeah, right. I get it.
It's making massive movie news.
Yeah, sure it is.
It is.
This website have like comments at the bottom?
I don't know. I don't normally go into the articles.
No, that's true. You just look on the titles only. Okay, I forget.
That's how we roll.
Yeah, that's how you roll.
Ooh, right. All right. So also Blank, however you want to say him, is the Blank detective. He is big cloud of ideas for the 3rd movie. So it's definitely getting a 3rd movie in that series. So Knives Out, Glass Onion. So I don't know what they're going to call it, but who knows? Don't really care.
I don't know. I didn't love, as I've said, I'm not that excited. I know you said Knives Out's better than Glass Onion, but watching Glass Onion first made me not give a shit about anything else to do with this.
Yeah, fair. Don't.
Yeah.
And if one person was going to do this and has got the moves and the look, I would believe Channing Tatum would be able to do this.
What's his name? Say that again.
Channing Tatum.
You got it.
Yeah, I did. Don't try and correct
me. Not the first time.
I did.
I listened back, my friend.
Yeah, whatever. Channing Tatum. You're gonna say it quick.
Not incorrectly though.
What
doesn't matter. What about him? What's he doing?
Whatever. He's developing a remake of The Ghost. So you know the famous pottery.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I reckon if there's one man that could do it, he is this generation of the man.
I do
That
wonder
it,
if it's going to be satire or if it's like full romance, like the original.
only full romance.
You reckon?
Yeah, I reckon. I reckon he'll have.
Okay.
So he's remaking the 1990 with Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze.
Yep.
Yep. The only thing I do,
I don't think I've even seen the full Ghost. I don't even know if I
yeah,
watched it before.
it's actually not a bad movie. Quite liked it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you've got the obviously the classic behind the
Yep.
behind the
The
back.
Clay. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Community do a fantastic parody, not really a parody of the movie, but they make reference to when the crew go into the pottery class, and he's like, if you ever do or mimic the ghost scene, the guy freaks out.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if anyone's seen it, I found that really, really funny.
Sick.
I told you. I probably should have given you warning that I was in a mood. So
Yeah, we're
yeah,
both. I'm like really tired and also devastated. I think back to work tomorrow.
yeah.
So
So
this is gonna be a sloppy cast.
this is what you get. You also get this on stream. So if you like this and you want to see it live for like 2 hours live where you can interact, come on, jump
Yeah,
on board on Twitch.
with more chaos because it's
Oh,
twice the amount of us.
that's on
Hmm.
Thursdays. Tuesdays just me soloing.
Yep,
So yeah. But
me
anyway,
screaming in chat.
mm,
Anyway,
anyway,
let's move on.
let's move on. So let's get
Woo.
into our first one, which is The Last of Us, which
Heck yeah.
is HBO's. I guess it's their original, but it's a game before. They're claiming it as a
Yeah,
HBO original. I got to say, like credit
they're
where
funding it, I suppose.
yeah, credit where credit's due. HBO really know how to make a intro in terms of like when you watch a whatever show of theirs, like True Detective, House of Dragons, Game of Thrones, The Last of Us.
Mhm.
Their intros are really good. Like I still skip them because I
As
don't
in the
like
opening
intros.
credits.
Yeah, like the opening credits where
Oh, sure.
it's like most people are like, oh, well, I'll watch that because it's really nice. Where I
You just
think
don't.
I don't like intros. I feel like
You
they're
need speed.
wasting my time. Give me straight to the good stuff. You
That's why
know.
the button exists now just for you. Skip
Yeah,
intro.
yeah. I feel like
No,
I'm.
I like a good intro. You're right. I do
Mm,
watch HBO intros. I sit
I
there
do.
and
Yeah, you
take
do.
it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See. I'm a I'm a man of the people because I'm a fun
Yeah.
guy. But
You're a
anyway.
fun guy.
All right.
You'll never die.
No, I won't. But anyway,
Yep.
so this is based off the games, and the games are incredible. If you've ever played them or if you've got a
Mhm.
PlayStation, I'm pretty sure they're now released on Steam as well. So if you go to PC, you can also play them. I think part one was.
Yeah, I think just one currently.
I think just
I don't know.
one.
I've only played it on PlayStation.
Yeah. But anyway, they're definitely pick them up if you haven't. The first one's like dirt cheap, or if you've got PlayStation Plus, pick
Yeah.
that up. Or if
Isn't it like
you
a remaster now, or something as well?
yeah, there's a whole new remaster that'll sub an extra
Which
$100
I'm
instead of
heavily contemplating playing,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
especially after watching this. Oh
I
boy.
mean, you can download it anyway and get the free upgrade to the PS5. I don't know why you'd want a full remaster, but I don't know. I feel like it's a cash grab. Anyway, that's not what you're here for. So
Sort of.
whatever, it's related. But after a global pandemic destroys civilization, a survivor takes charge of a 14-year-old girl who may be humanity's last hope. So this
Hmm.
is Joel and Ellie's essentially their adventure, where
Yep.
the first two episodes are out now, and episode 1 and episode 2 are essentially just setting up the world and setting up Joel and Ellie's sort of adventure that they have to go down.
Hmm. Yep.
Where that's the sort of premise that we're working on at the moment. We'll try not to spoil any like further
Hmm.
story because we both played the games, so we do know where this is going. There are a number of
Yeah, I need to separate
differences.
myself from that for sure.
Yeah, so there are a number of differences that they've actually done with the game
Hmm.
and also this. So I think the changes are minimal, but they've also done a really good job in terms of trying to
I think they're really helpful.
explaining it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously with the game, they're a little bit vague on what the actual virus was, where in here we actually do get some explanation about the virus, which I think works better for the visual representation of what you're doing rather than having that sort of scaredness what you do in the game.
Both episodes so far started, like the pre-credits scene was, I think the first one's like a couple minutes, second one might have been a bit longer, 5 to 8 maybe. And it's a moment in 2003-ish. I think 2003. The first one was like the 70s or the 80s, even the 60s, can't remember. But yeah, point is they give us a sort of prologue in the pre-credits each episode, and I really, really hope they continue that, because I'm really enjoying that and discovering, you know, that's something that I didn't think the games ever really explored, was what this is, how it sort of came to be, how humans reacted. Seeing the breakout of the pandemic, the outbreak, sorry, is really interesting. Please continue.
Yeah, so obviously our first episode, and just like the game, is setting up about Joel. So we're getting the insights of Joel's life. So Joel has a daughter. Can't remember his daughter's name off the top of my head. Sarah? Yeah, Sarah. So him, and there's also Tommy as well, which is his
brother.
So they're around, they sort of like kick together, they're a bit rough around the edges, kind of those guys that you kind of a rough diamond, you would say.
A rough diamond. Yeah, for sure. Tommy's an ex, like he's ex-military, he's a veteran of some description. I don't think it's explored if Joel is or not.
No, I don't think he is. I think he's just kind of a jack of all trades, kind of rough and tumble sort of guy.
They made them like contractors, whereas in the game I think he's a carpenter, but that's not really important.
Nah, it's pretty much of a muchness, really. So it's more of establishing their day-to-day life in terms of what they're doing, and then obviously we get exposed to the breakout, and we do get a nice symbol to the fireflies as well. Like, it's really quick, but you see people painting in the street, getting rid of the fireflies, which they play a reasonable part later on, but they become a bit of a massive focus for a while.
Yeah, they're the rebels.
Yep. Which at the moment you don't get a lot of explanation about, but it is nice that they're giving little foreshadowing into what's to come. So be prepared for that. But this is mainly about setting up the atmosphere in the world building. So you get Sarah going about her day to day, like interacting with the next door neighbors. And there's probably the first 20-30 minutes, it's just her sort of interacting with Joel and Tommy's interactions, and then once her day at school ends, she goes back to the next door neighbors because they're baking cookies or something or other, whatever it was.
Spending time with the family.
Whatever. And then the outbreak actually kicks off, and that's where we get to see where the catalyst to where Joel is essentially going to go in the first episode. So I actually found that they captured the moments in the game where Joel and Tommy in the truck, like that was so well done, and really a great nod to the actual video
that point of view, looking through the window, looking at the signs the cops drive by, like that's exactly shot for shot out of the game. It's so cool. I love that attention to detail. It's like fan art, you know?
So generally with video game adaptations, they're terrible. So all you got to do, if you're a Resident Evil fan, check out Netflix's attempt at Resident Evil. Like, they had the money and they butchered that. But this so far is doing really, really well. The only criticism of the first episode I really have is when Joel sort of gets confronted by the Fedra officer.
Fedra, yep.
So when he's confronted with the officer, it's really dark. I know that obviously it's nighttime, but it's really hard to see what's happening. Like, I want to see that detail. Like, I'm okay if you put a little bit of extra lighting just so you get that attention to detail.
See, I'm the opposite. I always think I'd rather it feel more natural. And if it's a dark scene, it's a dark scene. Like if they know they're shooting a dark scene, they're not gonna show us anything that we need to pick up in nuances of detail.
Yeah, but what
Just
about
pretend
the?
like you're there and you're in the dark.
Well, I think you had a different opinion when it was House of Dragons, when it was Rhaenyra and Daemon off on the beach, and it was so dark.
I
Yeah,
don't recall.
yeah, you do. Yeah,
It
checkmate, buddy.
was
Checkmate.
dark.
Yeah, it was. You
But
didn't
if you
see?
listen back to I don't think I was saying it was like too dark.
You did.
Did I?
Mm,
Okay.
that's right.
I
Check.
guess so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Different moods, different days.
yeah,
I
exactly.
kind of like
Checking.
I kind of like the realism of darkness sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for that, you kind of want those little bit of details here and there. I would have liked to
Mhm.
be able to see it, but like,
Fair enough.
yeah. Anyway, the first episode didn't really expose you to much of like how chaotic the world was, just because it was mainly
Yeah.
showing you that the kickoff and like
Mhm.
how scared everyone was, like the atmosphere and building the tension of them trying to escape and being scared
Yes.
of what's
Yes.
actually happening because people aren't getting fed the information. Like you do get to see, was it the dog or was it, I can't remember who got possessed in the first episode. It's been a little bit
It was
when
like the old granny next door,
that's right.
like
I knew
the
the one
old
in the
feeble granny
wheelchair,
in a
wasn't it?
wheelchair.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's right.
yep. Who
Yeah,
was like completely unresponsive, and then we saw her in like a shallow depth of field. She's in the background, out of focus, and she's like opening her mouth and all being all contorted and stuff. It's like the first little glimpse we get into her being infected.
yeah. So anyone who does get infected, yeah, he becomes really aggressive and really like
Mhm.
completely. Would you call them zombie-ish? I reckon they'd bring.
Yeah,
Depends.
this that's the thing. Like when this game first came out, people just always just referred to them as zombies. And to a degree, I guess they are because they're mindless. But what I like about these zombies, I use air quotes, is they are a hive mind and their purpose, like zombies just want to eat. I think, like, I don't think necessarily zombies have like a greater purpose. Whereas, fungi, these fungi, their greater purpose is to take over, and they hunt and they actively want to find humans, not just to eat them, but to like take over them, take over the world, whatever. Like I love that about them, and they feel different. Um, we'll talk more about, I guess, some of the you know the stuff we see later, like the clickers and whatnot. But yeah, even like the whole thing with the tentacles coming out of the mouth, um, they feel really good. They don't feel like zombies. I was worried, and I guess I'm pleasantly surprised that this doesn't just feel like Walking Dead. My biggest fear watching when this was announced and was getting developed and whatever else, and I was very hesitant to be excited for it, was that it's going to feel like another Walking Dead or just another zombie movie, and it's going to be a fart in the wind and boring, and no one's going to care about it. But it is so fucking good. It has so much heart. The people making it obviously really feel for the game and got a lot out of it. Um, it doesn't feel like a cash game. Obviously, it is. Everything made these days is for money, but it's made well and made with intent and soul. And so far, it's beautiful. And
Yeah,
Pedro Pascal, is that his name? I'm gonna get that wrong.
yeah,
Yeah,
Pedro.
that's right.
Yeah,
Um, he's fantastic, and I was worried that because Joel's very heartless, but
well,
Pedro I find very charismatic and quite endearing.
well, at the start,
Um,
Joel's pretty heartless. But obviously, he
yeah,
goes,
but he's great. He's so good. He does everything. This man's amazing. Look at Mando.
yeah.
Bella's
But
doing well. Bella Ramsey.
I
I
was,
didn't really like her
yeah,
in the ads.
I was concerned about that because obviously she was
Mm-hmm.
in Game of Thrones and was
Yeah,
the what was it, the young northern
Northern Lord
queen,
lady.
whatever,
Yeah,
yeah.
whatever she was.
And what were they, bear something or other? And they were like,
I forget.
I don't know, the hard ass little girl. I
Yeah.
was concerned that she was going to be one dimensional because Ellie is
Mm-hmm.
very um Similar but different to Joel. Like she's heartless, hard, but then also like a softer side in the games. Like
Yes,
she's
she's a
very,
curiosity.
yeah. And
Yeah,
I was concerned that Bella wasn't going to be able to bring that, but pleasantly
same.
surprised. Um,
It's great.
I don't know, surprised that they weren't bringing back the original actor that
Yeah, okay.
did Ellie, like because they pretty much based her whole image and voice off her.
How old is she?
I don't know, but
Speaking of which, by the way, Bella Ramsey turns 20 this year.
really, wow, she,
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, there
she's
you
playing a
go.
14-year-old. I was like, she probably like 15, 16. I doubt she's 14, but yep, she's much older than that.
There you go.
Surprises me.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah,
Mm,
she does an awesome job. I felt like
very.
episode 2 was stronger than episode 1.
So good.
Like I preferred episode 2. Like nothing taking away from episode 1, but that was
Mhm.
mainly about the world building and kicking off the events. Where
Yep.
episode 2, you mainly were experiencing obviously Joel's Hattie's unfortunate family tragedy, and now he is on a. We get a little bit of a time skip. Like obviously, they get set up in the world. He's doing like deals with the Fedra officers to get like we selling coding, and
Oh, that's episode 1.
is it? I thought
Yeah.
episode 2 is when he's doing that.
Episode 2 starts with them outside Boston limits.
Straight into it. I
Yeah,
should
they're out.
remember that.
That first shot is Ellie waking up in the fetal position, basking in the sun in the middle of that building, in like in the wrecked building. Yeah, episode 2 starts
Yeah,
straight in the thick of it. Yeah,
yeah, right. There you go. It's kind of blended together.
it's fair
But
because episode 1 is an hour 20, and
mm,
episode 2 is only 50 minutes. So it's fair that you probably almost internally separated episode 1 into 2 episodes.
yeah, so I felt like obviously it got more interesting when Ellie was introduced, and it was the
Mhm.
three amigos in terms of what was their name? Was it Marlene? Is it Marlene?
Tess. Oh, you mean
Tess.
Marlene? The Marlene is the Firefly, and
Uh,
Tess is Joel's friend.
yeah, Tess. When Tess is off with them and they're walking through Boston, and they get
Yep.
the massive open landscape shots, like so good. And that's what the game
Yeah,
did so well, was like showing you the
absolutely.
landscape and how, as I guess, essentially decayed the whole city is.
Hmm.
And you give
Yeah, some of the shots look really good. Like the shot right at the beginning when they walk out, and it's like that leaning tower of Boston sort of teed together.
yeah.
Um, Even though obviously it's just a green wall, it looked really good
Hmm.
for sure.
Well, I mean, in the game, the scene that stands out to me is when you see the giraffe.
Absolutely,
Like,
that melts my heart.
I'm hoping they have that scene in
They
the
have
show.
to. It's one of the. It's an iconic scene. They do. There was a stuffed giraffe in this episode. There was a giraffe in the first episode as well. So it's like a same with butterflies. Butterflies and giraffes are all over the shop in Last of Us.
Yeah, so
Um,
I'm hoping they
yeah,
do
very
it.
excited. Yeah, they have to. They have to.
Do
They have to.
yeah. Also, start of episode 2, the pre-credit scene where we actually get
Hmm.
more of where the actual, I guess, virus comes out of. Like you
Yep.
got the lady from
Jakarta.
Jakarta.
Hmm.
There is a. I think this is one of the changes, because I don't think this happens in the game, but there's also
Yeah. No.
a bit of a hint of like flour caused this somehow.
Hmm.
And
They
then
say there's a newspaper in the first game that on the front says that there's some sort of contamination at, yeah, it does say flour and corn or something. But it
yeah,
says South America, not Jakarta or Indonesia or anything. So
yeah, so it was
yeah,
an
it's sort of
interesting
some
change.
liberties. Hmm.
Yeah, and then obviously the lady is like some head honcho in terms of being able to deal with viruses, and you get her like pulling out part of
Yeah,
I guess, the hive tanglement of
she's a
vine or whatever it was
she was
called.
a biologist who
So
specializes in fungi.
yeah, yeah, she does.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. And essentially, she says there's no cure in that they just need to bomb the entire
bomb the
place,
city.
which is insane. Like I wasn't really prepared for that, or with that sort of backstory that they were going to give us. So that was kind of cool. All right, so we had a little bit of technical difficulty. Lawson's house went completely out of power and he lost internet. So
Yep.
now he's hotspotting, and so that
Yep.
we can get up. So he is literally throwing money at the telecom people just to make sure we can bring you all your movie reviews.
Yep.
So, yeah, thanks. Because we're fun guys.
So bloody annoyed because we're fun guys. Let's get back into it.
That's right. So bringing back the mood. Our last point, without going back and looking and listening to what we were talking about, I'm pretty sure it was like the virus lady from Jakarta saying to bomb the place, and Lawson's got a number of things he wants to say just in case he disappears and I have to carry you all on my back.
Oh, what should I say? I already said we're like at the start of this. I think the start's really necessary. It really helps create the world because it's stuff we didn't know before. And I think for a show, that's not just a game. A game can be entertaining without having to have deep lore, but a show like this, I think, needs it. And that's something that, as I was saying, makes it not feel like a video game adaptation. It doesn't feel like a video game. Other movies or whatever that relies on video games, it feels too much like it, and it's kind of corny and crap. This, you could watch this without any even knowledge of the game existing, and it's almost better in that way. It makes me want to replay the games. It's freaking anyway. Continue the episode because there's things I'll mention later.
Yeah. So essentially, So we're back onto episode 2. Essentially, they are on the explorer. They're out in the main city, and I really like the distrust that they have with Ellie. So we learn that, spoilers if you haven't seen episode 2, that Ellie has been bitten, but it's been because they're questioning about why Ellie was being held captive, in terms of they were concerned and monitoring Ellie because she is actually bitten, but she hasn't turned in terms of how everyone else is. So I'm not going to go into the reason why, because that will ruin further viewing pleasure. And then we get more information about the clickers, which are the main sort of things that if you're watching on the vodcast are the main monsters which you see behind Lawson. I think at the moment the downside of this show is that the only thing that's more scarier than the actual like clickers are the actual different people. But I'm sure that's going to play into, like, if in the games, the people I felt like more of a threat, like the different factions.
Oh right, yeah,
like
yeah.
Those
The
sides
gunfights are probably more.
Yeah, so the people are a bit more like, not deranged, but a bit more heartless and a bit more chaotic, where we haven't seen that yet, but I'm sure that's building further down the line. But
for sure,
what
we get to meet a lot of main characters too, like not main, but a lot of sub characters too, like Bill.
Yeah, the only new person that was introduced in episode 2 was the Jakarta lady from the first pre-credit scenes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
This was
pretty
mainly
much because the whole episode really centers around our 3 sort of main characters at this point: Joe, Ellie, and Tess.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
yeah. I like the introduction, or the bit more explanation of how the clickers work, in terms of it's a hive mind. I was a little bit interested to see how this plays out, but it's like if you step on any of the, what do you call them, like tentacles or vines or whatever growths, like it alerts all the others. Where normally these guys ran off a sound. So in the games, it was mainly sound that they
still did.
Yeah, but not to that point. Like, obviously,
the clickers definitely I think because we didn't see that tentacle telling things from a distance. We didn't see that until they were right at the end of the episode. The clickers didn't have any of that. The clickers were purely acting off of sound because they had to be dead silent. And that scene with the clickers wandering through in the museum, which again is such a perfect little takeaway from, like, it felt like the museum in the game. the scene where they are first like creeping around the clickers, and you just don't want to be seen and you don't want to be noticed, and Ellie like has a little gasp, and that's enough to set him off. Feels, and again, I keep saying this, it feels like the game. I love that tension of don't see me, don't see me, don't see me, and then fuck, I've been seen, and then having to escape and survive and move on to the next part. At least in a game you can reset, which I did a lot. I also loved in that scene, or a bit later in that scene in the museum, where they're sneaking behind like a counter, and Joel steps on some broken glass, and that's what alerts them. Because that's what happens in the game. You got to avoid the broken glass as you're wandering around. There's so many little touches that it doesn't need to feel like it's a video game, but for those who have played the game, it's a little like, ooh, like there's rolls of tape around the place. People use it all the time. That's one of like the main crafting ingredients. Um, like I said, there's giraffes around the place, little butterflies. There's a lot of little nods that if you know the game, it feels good to recognize those bits. But also, as someone who does know the game, it doesn't feel like a repeating story for me. It feels like something new and exciting, even though I know exactly what happens. It's good. It's fucking
it's
good.
very good. I also like how they build tension. Like you do feel like there's a lot of tension where a lot of shows struggle to build that and like actually have your characters feel like they're going to be in danger. Like they feel scared. You feel scared for them. Where
Definitely.
right at the end of the episode where they change spoilers, but they change Tessa's actual death. So originally in the game, she dies by gunfire and actually happens off screen. So it's actually the Fedra agents all storming the building. Where this one, she actually goes out in a blaze of glory with the fire, with all the clickers running in. So obviously the clickers, because in this show they're alerted by the hive mind, and we get to see the tentacle coming up to alert them all. And
they weren't clickers.
They weren't clickers. I thought
they were infected, but they weren't clickers because you saw one at the end, like with his eyes and stuff. They weren't clickers. Sorry, they were just regular infected.
Right, I just bunched them all together. But anyway, they're all rushing in. There's oil on the there's like lighter fluid or petrol or whatever she put on the floor.
Something.
And essentially she goes out in a blaze of glory to, know, make sure that Joel and Ellie have to go and see some guys that are going to play an interesting role later to come. So there was
I know that Bill's played by Nick Offerman as well. And Nick Offerman I only know him playing like goofy, funny characters. So I'll see what he's like as Bill.
Who knows? I'm sure he'll have a little bit of a goof here and there, but I don't know. Yeah. But overall, very, very solid and very impressive by HBO. Like HBO have a really good track record. So if anyone was going to handle it, I reckon HBO should probably take all the video game adaptations. Like I would be interesting to see what they could do with Resident Evil, unlike what like Netflix came up with. Like just
you got to give them stuff with heart and good characters, though. I think that's what they seem to be doing best at the moment. I'm not sure Rez has that. Like at least Last of Us has two really, really like well developed characters.
Oh, you got Leon. Leon's pretty fleshed out across the number. You got Chris Redfield. You got Jill Valentine. You got
but do they have as much soul as Joel?
I quite like them.
You like them because they're action heroes.
Yeah, they are. Anyway, Joel's a bit of an action hero, though.
Yeah, he is a bit.
Yeah,
he definitely has that vibe. There are moments where he does feel a little bit invincible. And I guess that is one drawback, and I mentioned it before, that it does feel new, but I'm always reminded, like watching Tess the whole time, I'm like, yeah, she's gonna die soon. Like I know what's gonna happen here. I think that to a degree does not ruin it, but like I know what's gonna happen. I don't have that much tension. Whereas if I showed this to Eb, she'd be able to have a whole new experience. So I think as much as there's good moments for me, there's good moments for new viewers as well. And it's really good at that. Like it doesn't.
Would you make the comparison to reading the books for Game of Thrones and watching Game of Thrones?
I guess so, yeah. If you already know, exactly right. Like, if you've already experienced a story once, experiencing the story again needs to be something new,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Hmm. So
Um, I
yeah,
really
no.
liked, I guess one thing I will mention is if this wasn't based on a video game that was already very successful and very well known, I don't think this show would have been made given the current climate of our world, being pandemic, being China's, how China's been handling the pandemic and all the human rights abuses there and all the parallels being drawn. I think if this hadn't already been a story, people would be instantly being like, "This is the COVID conspiracy movie," or the COVID, this movie would be instantly branded with COVID. So I'm really glad that I've not seen that anywhere, and I've not heard anyone draw a parallel, and I think that's only because this existed before COVID.
Not yet. Anyway, start the movement.
Huh?
Start the movement.
Start the movement? No, I'm
Yeah.
I'm saying the opposite. I don't want there to be a movement. But
I know. I just like your reactions because I'm a
it's
fun
great.
guy.
I'm very fun guy. I'm
Yeah.
very surprised at how good this is and how excited I am for more episodes. There hasn't been a show since probably House of Dragon that I reckon I've been this excited for
What have we got
each
in this
week.
season? 9 episodes.
9. Yep.
Yep.
It's a weird
Also,
number for
hmm,
sure.
whatever. I like how HBO don't drag on seasons. Like they're
Hmm.
happy to cut it. So
Take their time.
hmm, that's
And
good.
like Walking Dead just pumped out seasons and
Yeah, that's
I
not it's not
yeah.
going to Walking Dead. What would you give this one?
Like a fucking 4.5 to a 5.
Mhm.
It's near perfect. I don't know where to fault this. There's nothing so far. You said it was dark. I didn't think that was a bad thing. There's nothing so far that I've thought that shouldn't have been done that way, or that was boring, or that was too long. The beauty of online, um, what would you call it? Like online content is it gonna be any length, and this is paced beautifully, having a fantastic time. It's got heaps for me, even though I know the story already. It's like a 5, man. It's the best show I've seen in probably 6 months.
Ooh, another
Great.
5. Even another 5. Ooh,
It's good.
ooh, look out. I
It's very good.
I do agree. Like it's very very solid. Like it's very hard to fault. It's just the dark scenes are real dark. I just want to be able to see what's going on. So for me,
Yeah,
it's a 4.5. Like it's awesome. I would definitely recommend anyone really picking it up and going and seeing it.
definitely.
It's really really good. Check it out.
Yeah,
It is on in Australia. It is on Binge because we
it
don't
is.
get access to HBO here.
Binge is
So,
cheap enough. It's worth getting.
yeah.
Maybe wait for the 9 episodes to come out, get Binge for a week and smash it. Binge
Yeah,
it, as it were.
do your 7 day free trial
Yeah,
or support them. I don't know, whatever you want to do. I don't really care.
good.
They're
Get
not
around
spon.
it in any way.
Yeah,
It's good.
they're not sponsoring us. If they sponsor us, I'll care. But
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah. But let's move on to
Yes.
a nostalgia field show. So this is That 90's Show.
Yep.
So obviously, if you've seen that 70 show, you'll recognize a number of the cast. If you've seen
Hmm.
that 80 show, which I didn't, I'm assuming it was kind of similar or it was different. I don't know.
Can I quickly tell you what a show is? Because you mentioned it last time, and it's not worth
Yeah.
mentioning. It doesn't
Okay.
exist. It it
Okay.
it had nothing to do with the 70s show. It was a like a just a cash grab. I think one character carries across, but I think it's a character who's added really late into the 70s show. Um and I also say that I'm also a huge fan of that 70s show and watched it back to back to back many, many times, and I'm currently watching it even before this came out.
Okay.
So it had big shoes to fill in my
Oof.
eyes.
So, just my experience with the show is that I watched that 70 show here and there. I've never actually seen every single episode. I've watched bits and pieces. I would probably say I haven't seen a complete season, but I know enough to know
Mm-hmm.
how everything sort of unfolds.
Yeah.
to
who
that
everyone
point.
is and their
Yeah.
relationships and
Yeah, so it used to be on Fox 8, so it used to be bundled into a number of different like
Yeah, it
comedy
was.
shows. So that's where I watched it back in the days of Foxtel. But I'll give you the old synopsis. So now it's 1995. Leah Foreman is visiting her grandparents for the summer, where she bonds with a new generation of Point Place. How is that Wisconsin? Is that what
Wisconsin? Yeah, because at the beginning they're like, "Hello, Wisconsin."
That's right.
In the intro.
Yeah. So kids under the watchful eye of Kitty and the stern glaze of Red. So for me, I'm just going to say this show. The only time I actually liked this show was when it had the old cast in it. So Red and Kitty, really good, really funny.
Yep.
When Fez is on there, so we obviously only watch the first 3 episodes, and then we'll give our recommendations whether to watch it or not to watch it. Fez is awesome. I really like Fez. Then you've got Eric and Donna. They obviously make an appearance early on, where I felt like they didn't really have that much to do besides to be the catalyst to try and push their daughter.
Just to be there.
And then you do get Mia Kunis and Ashton Kutcher. They make an appearance.
Which is the best scene. Oh, so funny. I was weeing myself laughing at that scene.
I found Fez's interactions way funnier than that.
Oh, maybe it's just my obsession with Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher in real life.
Maybe.
It's been so funny. Like, what's your last name, Kelso? Oh, dude, I weed.
Loved it.
Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
And then you do get obviously Hyde is not there because Hyde probably will have. There's a whole story there, so he doesn't make an appearance. Where I found,
and they don't even mention him.
No mention whatsoever.
No. But not even says what's Hyde doing. Where's Hyde? Same with Laurie. I was about to say Topher Grace. Eric's sister, who is a main important character, but her actor died, and they replaced the actor in the original 70s show with some other blonde chick who couldn't carry scenes anywhere near as well as Laurie could. And they haven't even mentioned her yet in these 3 episodes. They could just say something along the lines of she's on her 4th honeymoon in Barbados or some bullshit. Like, just tell us where she is. Don't have to give us some ridiculous story. Just mention her. Anyway, sorry.
Right.
Something that annoyed me a little bit.
So 90% of the show from our 3 episodes is focused around obviously the
90.
new. Got you there because we're fun guys.
Fun guys.
but it's literally focused around the new group of kids and their interactions. But I gotta say, their chemistry sucks. Like there's nothing going on between them in terms of Leah is the one that's meant to sort of bring them all together because she has the cool basement. I found Gwen. I didn't gel with Gwen. She was just.
Which one was Gwen? I should have got photos. Hold on. Here we go.
Gwen was the next door neighbor. She was the.
That was Nikki.
Was it?
Oh no, Gwen. Nikki was the other annoying. Yeah, no, she's the other girl. Sorry. Yep.
So there's Gwen. Jay Kelso. Couldn't care less. Like it didn't have the same. Charismatic as obviously Kutcher did.
He felt like Joey. He felt like early awkward Joey when Joey didn't really become Joey in later seasons when he was early and all he was about was women, and he even had his own little catchphrase instead of "How you doing?" He was like, "Hey girl," it was Joey. It was fucking weird.
It sucked. Then Ozzy was meant to be, I guess, the comic relief character. Like he was meant to be there,
the quirky one.
There was only one scene where I actually laughed with him in it, was when he was on the phone about his partner.
Oh, his Canadian boyfriend speaking in French. Yeah.
That was the only time I actually laughed at that. Like I thought I
actually found him pretty funny.
Really? I struggled with him. That's the only time I actually laughed at it. And then obviously you got Nikki and Nate as well. Just,
who I'm already bored of.
mhm.
Like the other characters as well, but the Nikki and Nate relationship is already pretty over it, and I don't find any of their jokes funny. The other characters actually like.
Really?
I'm actually I'm actually surprised how much I enjoyed this show. And it feels, because it's still the same writers and the same sort of production team and stuff. I even feel like they replicated some camera placement and things like that, because the the shots in the house, the shots out in the driveway, in the basement, they all feel identical to the 70s show. And it's a smart, nostalgic cash grab. It's the perfect time to do this when all the people who are my age, who grew up watching the 70s show, are now, this comes out and it's nostalgic as fuck. I'm watching the 90s show, and I'm seeing like all the 90s references to when I was a kid. And that's what my mum was when she used to see the 70s show on the TV, when I was watching it, whatever, growing up. And she'd be like, wow, like my mum was almost the exact same age as the people in the 70s show.
Yeah, right.
Would have been in the 70s. Whatever. Point is, it's nostalgic. Whoa.
Whoa. You got
Recording again?
Yeah, I don't know what happened then. It's just
Oh my god.
recording. I'm hoping
Sorry, everybody.
that'll
Point is, the
record.
nostalgia's good. It's hitting me in the right places, and I'm surprised how much I'm liking it.
Yeah, right. Well, the only time I enjoyed this show was when it was like Red and Kitty on screen, or Fez on
Yep.
screen.
Yep.
Red plays, obviously, his grumpy character, and he plays it really well. Kitty's the manic sort of back and forth, stressing out, whatnot. But
I like how there's an episode I actually saw last night in that 70s show where Kitty is talking to Red about having another baby, and she's saying, we should have one because I'll won't be long. I can't have children anymore. And he says, well, eventually we'll have grandchildren. She's like, oh my god, grandchildren! The house will be full of life again. And it's actually really nice to see her in that element again, and having all the kids around, and her being full of life and excitement. It's cute. I love Kitty. She's great.
Yeah. So I gotta say, yeah. And then Fez, I enjoyed Fez's interaction where he goes on a date and he pretty much falls in love with what was her name? Is it Sherry?
Sherry, yeah.
So he
falls interesting.
He falls in love with Sherry, but Sherry seemed kind of generic. Like she was the rough, hopeless sort of I don't know, but down on her luck kind of character.
She's the trailer park mom.
But I don't know. For me, I don't want to watch any more of this show. Like I struggled through all three of the episodes. Like I didn't like the chemistry. Like that 70s show, the characters had that chemistry. They sort of bounce off each other. Where this, it didn't have it. It was kind of like, I'm going to do my joke, then I'll deliver my line, then you go, and I'll do my joke. Like it felt very stop-start. There was no flow. There wasn't much
formulaic.
Yeah, it wasn't going where I needed to go. And some of the jokes were like real poor. Like even I like silly jokes. I like dad jokes, but they were like, oh, we got a bag in a bag. Or
that's not. That wasn't even a joke. Hey, yeah.
He's like, oh, he named a stick. He named a game where you throw one stick at a stick, and he called it stick. So,
no, that's not funny.
You gotta be a little bit better than that. Like, make it.
It's the situational stuff that I did find funny though. The scene where they're trying to get Leia her first kiss, and they do a montage of her walking around, and it felt. This show at times, I always refer to iCarly, even though I've never fucking even watched iCarly. But this show feels like a Disney show at times. The scenes when it's just the kids, which is probably like 40% of the scenes, maybe even 30. They're, like you said, they're probably the least fun scenes, and the characters have no chemistry. You bang on the money. They all feel super dry and very two-dimensional. There's no development with the characters yet, but it's early. I want to give it the benefit of the doubt. I actually today, forgetting that we were going to review this tonight, was about to jump on and watch more episodes, and realized, oh wait, I shouldn't watch the fourth because it's going to throw myself off. I'm excited. I'm not excited. I'm going to watch more. This wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's still not fantastic, but I think if you've watched the original and you like the original, there's enough little nods that this is good enough. I think it's not a travesty like the 80s show, and I still think it's better than like the last 2 seasons of that 70s show. It's not that bad. Leo is fucking so funny. The stoner, like from Cheech and Chong, Tommy Chong.
Oh yeah, he's good. He's always good.
So funny. So those little scenes with the old characters, like you said, they're the best and they're really fun. And I think they are enough. Those scenes are enough to make me keep watching at the moment.
Really?
I might get bored of it in a couple of episodes time.
It reminds me of when Scrubs ended up doing the interns. So like the season 9, was it of Scrubs?
9. Yep.
Yeah, where they essentially used the name of the show and the nostalgia of those characters to try and push a new cast, which didn't do well. Like they struggled.
Part of the problem then was they initially, when they created the show, the idea for that spin-off was that it was going to be its own separate show, and then they last minute decided to make it another season of Scrubs because it's what American consumers want, supposedly. And that was part of the problem, is that it didn't feel like Scrubs and it was shit. At least this is a different show 20 years later. I don't think it's bad.
Okay.
It's better than I thought it was going to be.
What would you give it then?
Like a 3. It's not great, but I'd still recommend it. And I think there's enough good moments to make the bad moments kind of. Yeah, you can go on your phone in the boring bits, but the fun bits are pretty enjoyable, I think.
So 90% of the show you can be on your phone?
I'd say like 30% of the show you can be on your phone. I think there's enough.
That's generous.
Yeah, maybe.
No. The only time I found this enjoyable was the nostalgia of the old cast, and it's a 1 when it's just focused on the new crew. Like I wouldn't recommend that to anyone. It's like a 2 when the old cast is there, because they're not there for long enough and they're not the focus. So there's still not enough to be like, yeah, I'm going to hang around to see how many like nostalgia trips I can go on. I don't care. And I will not be watching any more of this show. Yeah,
I guess there's 2 audiences to this. Like, you are really a big fan of the old stuff, and therefore this is very nostalgic, or you're a young kid who finds this relatable and comedic. You're not the audience for this, Mr. Ryman.
No, I'm not.
That's fine. Yep, sweet.
Coming to our last thing on our list, which is Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. That was my attempt to...
Was it now?
I'll give it a crack again. When Puss in Boots discovers that his passion for adventure has taken its toll and he has burned through 8 of his 9 lives, he launches an epic journey to restore them by finding the mythical, last wish. Magical, mystical, whatever. You could do whatever. So we worked out that this is the second film of Puss in Boots. There's also a TV show which ran for 4 seasons. And then there's also a 13-minute Puss in Boots and 3 what's it called? Oh, I don't know. 3 Amigos. It's not Amigos, Diablos or something or other.
Yeah, I think it's Diablos. He's also a recurring character in Shrek, obviously, as well. So
yeah,
I was very unexcited because I don't care about Puss in Boots. It's a cartoon. It's a kid's character. It's not for me. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I've got to say the only reason that I picked it was because it was getting a number of trending things on it in terms of how the animation was better than some of the Pixar studio stuff. So people were making big comparisons to that. So obviously I was interested to see if these people were correct, because, you only need our opinion and we appreciate you guys. So Yeah.
What?
There we go. I don't know.
Anyway,
I lost train of thought. I was scrolling down and then I saw
just started saying things as you
Goldilocks.
do.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Goldilocks.
Yeah,
Just
so
right.
there is this is starting off with Puss being his usual self and
Mm,
going about his I guess adventuring lifestyle, and he runs into a little bit of trouble right at the start. Like he finds
mm.
himself, unfortunately, in some trouble, and a big fight scene breaks out. And I do like his fighting style. So we are presented into an action scene very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And I got to say, when it swaps to the action scenes, it took me a
Mm.
little bit to get used to because it changes the animation
Frames.
style. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's odd in terms of how that works, but I kind of like it.
No, same.
Yeah,
I it's the only reason I said before that I was not excited was I was very pleasantly surprised at how good this was. Did not expect it to be anywhere near as decent as it really, really was.
yeah.
And
So
yeah, the art style and the animation in the like very anime
mm,
feels like a lot of it was, there's these crazy shots where they're doing these tracking behind, and there was almost like a fisheye effect on stuff, and they're doing a lot of things that anime do, and fucking good. I've heard people compare this to Into the Spider Verse, those
yeah,
fight scenes, which I haven't watched. I know I need to,
okay.
but this was like the action scenes in this were properly entertaining. Really, really cool.
Yeah, they're really cool. They also do humor really well. So after Puss finds himself in a bit of trouble, he's visited by a bounty hunter, where we
Mm.
are going to go into spoilers. So if you do want to watch this and enjoy the story, like it's not an overly complicated story, you kind of pretty reasonably predictable by the end.
Yeah.
You essentially, the bounty hunter is deaf, and he has come knocking for Puss's last life.
Mm-hmm.
So he is essentially spending the rest of the movie trying to hide out and run away from death to be able to like save his
Yep.
life.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed his first runaway, where he's like run away and he gets like adopted to a not cat sort of
Yeah.
household.
Like Sanctuary, that old woman. Yeah.
There's no cats here, and
Yeah. I keep telling them there's no cats here. There's cats everywhere.
so this reminded me of like I felt like they got the humor right. Like it wasn't quite Shrek level in terms of how they delivered jokes, but it was
Yeah.
still reasonably and like presented well enough that you actually do have quite a good laugh at like how they deliver their jokes. And
There's
like
moments of comedic maturity. I feel
hmm,
like, and I guess I fear, well, not fear, but when I was unexcited to watch this, I thought they were going to handle the jokes the same way that, like you said, Shrek and everything's been handled, where it's just poop joke, fart jokes, ha ha ha, he's fat, ha ha, he's an ogre, ha ha, layers. Um, the comedy was okay. I wrote though that the comedy isn't for me. It's like while it was better, I guess, than what I was expecting, and probably better than Shrek, etc. Um, it's it's still aimed at kids. There's still a lot of jokes that I'd roll my eyes at, but few and far between, I think.
yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with it. So even in the not cat sanctuary where he grows a beard, like
Yeah, it's
where he's like hiding
distinguished.
out. Yeah. Like there's a
Yeah,
number of things. There's enough in there that it's like if the parents are watching it with their kids, like they're gonna have a giggle.
yeah,
Like they've done really well with sort of captivating that sort of, I guess, not two dimensional in terms of like they're catering for both audience, the kids and also the parents that
yeah.
are
It's a
being
family movie.
yeah, which are being dragged along. But the standout is like once the story kicks off and the bounty hunter is chasing him, they get that mystical map, and we're presented
Hmm.
to another sort of person a number of people who want the wish. And then
Yeah.
essentially the rest of the story is that they're off on their quest to be able to try and make this wish. And it's
Hmm.
kind of the interactions with Will Puss essentially use the wish to, get his nine lives
Become a
back.
hero
Yeah,
legend again. Yep,
yeah.
yep.
or will the other people stop him from getting it? So you do get sort of a misfit crew with the dog that was in the cat sanctuary. Like, he's like
Pepito was his name. Was it
like
Pepito or something like that?
the
Burrito.
happy-go-lucky cat. Like he had a number of lines, and he was a fun character to be around.
Fun guy.
Yeah. And then
he again, when he first came on the screen, I'm like, fuck, here we go. This is the minion. This is the kid character who's just there to be over the top and silly. Fuck, he was gorgeous. I loved every scene that he was in, and every scene that everything he said. He was so great. He made me cry. The scene where Death is after, well, one of the moments where Death is hunting down Puss in Boots, and he has a panic attack. He runs off. And I really, really like, by the way, how they handled anxiety attacks, and how a lot of the, I won't go into detail because it's my anxiety, but as someone who has anxiety attacks, the anxiety in this felt so fucking real. And the therapy dog moment where the dog comes in and lays his head down and his heart rate slows down, like that's exactly what therapy dogs do. And it was such a beautiful moment, brought a tear to my eye. Like, that dog is fucking awesome. It was probably the best character, and I was so surprised. Actually, no, sorry, nowhere near the best character. The wolf, Death, probably one of the best villains I've seen in an animated movie. I don't know, in a very long time, since like Hades and Scar and stuff. Iconic. Fucking every scene that we heard the whistle, like, that's so menacing and so simple. I got goosebumps whenever I heard the whistle and saw him like come in. Fucking went hard. He was so good. Such a cool character.
Yeah, he's awesome. I only know this because one of the TikToks I saw actually pointed out, but the first fight scene that Puss in Boots is in, when it cuts to the crowd, the wolf and Death is actually standing in there already. Like, he's in the background. Like, their attention to detail in this is actually really good. Like, it's really cool how they've done it. And I can see why people have made the comparison that this is like beating Pixar and stuff with their like animation and what's going into it. Like,
I agree.
It's really cool, even though the story is kind of simple and you know where it's going to go, but you get that with Pixar films and everything. And normally Goldilocks and the Three Bears are like overused, and you're expecting them to be average, but they were actually really fun. Like, they were
really funny. Yeah.
They were in there just enough that you didn't get sick of them. Like, they were used really well. Even the what was the guy who puts his thumb in pies? Whoever that
Jack
guy
Horner.
was. Yeah,
little Jack Horner sitting in the corner. Yeah,
yeah, like, he was used just enough as well, and like
100%.
Like, they've done it, and those people know when to pull those characters out, so you're not getting over them. So
definitely.
Everything.
There was a moment. Sorry,
you go.
I was gonna say there's a moment where they were introducing the characters, and I went, "Fuck, this is too many. Like, I don't need 3 potentially bad guys with Goldilocks. We got what do they call themselves? The crime family, or whatever it was. That you've been crimed. It's so funny. You got the crime family. You've got
no crime backs.
No crime back. You got Jack Horner, and you've got Death. I felt like at one point there was too many sides to this story, but no, that it was perfectly paced. All the characters, like you said, were on screen for just enough time. None of the characters felt like boring, and I'm sick of them. And like, it was enough. It was enough for all of them to get what I wanted.
Yeah, even Kitty Softpaws, like, I was expecting that to be a bit of a drawn out, will they, won't they kind of moment. No. But like, that was handled well as well.
Yep, in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, real good. Even to have, like, they beat one boss, and then another boss came up with Jack Horner at the end. I'm like, oh, fucking, here we go. That wrapped up really quick. Like, they didn't linger on anything. They didn't need to. They had a story to tell. They told it. They got out, and I appreciate the hell out of that.
Yeah, and even the jokes weren't overused. Like, it was nicely placed, moved on, push on, and yeah, like overall fight scenes are awesome.
The Seinfeld cricket.
It's all right.
Like, why did he have a Seinfeld accent? I didn't really understand that.
I don't know, just
But
goes.
it was funny.
I
love how he kept trying to make he was trying to be conscious, like, I'm going to tell you how to be a good person, and the whole time Jack's just, no, I'm evil, like I'm going to do bad things. I love that dynamic. Like there's no changing him.
Yeah.
Go on, sorry.
It was a pleasant surprise in terms of I was expecting to sit through it for what, an hour and 42 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was I wasn't bored, and I actually had a good time.
Definitely.
So
I was very surprised at how good this was. I was very much expecting just Shrek 3, like is another dumb, but like as you said, I'd seen so much content saying shit like this movie didn't deserve to go so hard and this destroys Pixar, blah blah blah. I'm like, people need to calm down. But no, this is good. This is very good, and I hope this inspires people like Pixar to take risks, to do things different, to try different art styles, to try adapting Asian cinema into your animation. Like there are so many things that this did well that should be modeled for sure.
Yeah, what would you give it?
Like a 4, 4 and a smidge. It's not quite a 4.5. For me, I know I'm not the right audience. I think just a 4 is fair. But I can see people have said this is like one of the best movies come out of last year, the best animation to come out of 2022. I still think that Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio was better, for different reasons, but this was still fucking great.
Yeah. I agree. It's definitely a 4. Like I had a great time with it. It's just Puss in Boots is not my favorite, like, I don't know, character.
Same.
There's no part of me was like, yay, Puss in Boots. Like it's even the story. I'm not interested in it. But this movie is really good. I do recommend it. It's above a 3. It's definitely in the 4 realm. So check it out. Even if you take your kids along, go see it. It's good. It's good fun.
Yeah,
I can't say for the rest of the Puss in Boots franchise, but this one, I don't think you need to see the other ones either to get the gist of it. So no, but yeah, whatever. So that was a big lineup considering
huge.
The Last of Us.
What was my theme? Did you pick it up? Actually, can I go back on one thing? One more thing I'll point out with Puss in Boots that I really fucking appreciated.
Sure.
I loved that Death wasn't just hunting him to kill him for the sake of killing him. He didn't want to kill him. He wanted to kill the legend. He wanted to kill the man who abused life. He wanted him to fear death, and that's what he did. And the whole theme about mortality, so good. There's so many elements that were like just for adults. Yeah.
Is
please.
that your theme?
No. What is my theme? What was it? Did you pick it up?
We're fun guys.
We're fun guys. Everything was way better than I expected. I went into all of them with pretty low expectations, and for every single one, I was pleasantly surprised. And that's all my theme is.
Okay. Is that really a theme?
It's not necessarily a theme, but something like a trend is a better word.
Yeah, okay? All right.
A trend. There's a trend to my reviews tonight.
No wonder I couldn't pick it.
Yeah, that's my bad. You get my trend?
Yeah. All right, we'll try again.
It's been a sloppy cast for sure.
We had a few technical difficulties, but I think we've managed it. We've handled it well. So
thank you for sticking with us.
Yeah, you're right. We'll get better each week, maybe. I don't know, whatever.
This is the worst yet, if I'm honest.
Yeah, you're on a roller coaster. But anyway, we've got another lineup for you, which is surprisingly a Netflix special next week. So everything is everything is on Netflix. So we have Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy's new one, which comes out, I don't know when you're listening to it, but Friday. I don't even know what the date is. 27th.
27th.
Is You People, which is a Netflix one. Also on Netflix here in Australia. I don't know where else it will be the rest of the world, so maybe check your local providers. This is a South Korean sci-fi action film. I'm going to butcher the name, but it's Jung_E. Jung-E.
Yeah, I got no idea.
I don't know. We'll run with that.
The last South Korean movie we watched was that fucking
Alienoid?
Alienoid, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a trip.
Yeah, so I'm expecting some high octane South Korean sci-fi. But then we're going to another Asian country and going into an anime. This is I'm gonna butcher this again. Japanese Tales of Makban. Makbar. You just give me the.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, you do it.
It's Japanese Tales of the Macabre.
Ah, it was close.
Junji Ito Maniac. He is a it's a horror, what do you call it? Manga artist, I guess.
Yeah. It's a horror episode.
They're all like
special.
little individual episodes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that should be interesting. Hope there's no ghosts.
There's probably going to be ghosts.
I don't like ghosts. But anyway, stick around. That is episode 3, done and dusted. And if you want to spread the word, that's all we ask for you is to tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
Doing anything,
especially if they work at Under Armour.
Yeah, well, you beat me to it. Look at you.
Yeah, look at me go.
Yeah, if you go. If you know anyone at Under Armour, please let them know. Yeah, these guys are good. They're really rep your brand.
These guys are good.
Go in and tell them that. Hire on the spot.
Oh, fuck. Send them an email that just says these guys are good.
No context.
No link or anything. Just these guys are good.
Yeah. But tell your friends, make the day better, make the day worse, give them a laugh, give them a thrill. I don't know.
Etc.
Yeah, do whatever. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
See you then. Love yous.